Now, we often hear about gender equality or gender inclusivity. It's a work in progress in many parts of the world and born in part out of the so-called toxic masculinity. How do you change that? Rather, how do you detoxify masculinity? That's actually the topic of our Mahaba-habang Usapan that's happening tonight. It's our fourth online conversation on key social issues, which our very own Paolo Abrera will be moderating. And one of our panelists is with us this morning on New Day, Mr. Gian. He is a poet and essayist. Gian, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Why should we be having this conversation about detox masculinity? Can you tell us the importance of it?
Well, it's about time, and we're both men, and we've seen masculinity at its very finest, and it can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The desire to protect people who don't have much, or who are weaker than you, who don't have the same privilege you have. The problem is we've also kind of misconstrued masculinity somewhat as men, the way we were raised, as aggression, as dominance, and sometimes aggression can be good, but we tend to kind of misappropriate it. We're aggressive about the wrong things. We're aggressive about protecting our own masculinity, asserting our own masculinity over other people, dominating other people, and we just want to look at, I guess, the behaviors that lead to this, or the behaviors that emerge based on how we treat boys and educate boys.
You are like what I said, you are a poet, an essayist. What have you written about it, Gian?
Well, I went to an all-boys school, I think, an exclusive all-boys school here in Metro Manila. There are a bunch of them, and I was definitely exposed to that boy culture, and not just being around my friends, but also being around just the wider culture, whether it's a school or the society around us, and how we were taught to be men and how we were taught to kind of treat manhood. So I wrote about all boys schools. The assertion was that it's not necessarily the healthiest thing in the world, but we could definitely do better.
Well, tonight will be the Mahaba-habang Usapan. What do you hope to achieve in the event tonight?
Sorry, Mahaba-habang Usapan.
Yeah, in today's Mahaba-habang Usapan, it's gonna, of course, like what we mentioned, focus detox masculinity. It's happening tonight at 8 p.m. What do you hope to achieve or talk about tonight?
Well, as the title says, we do want to have a longer conversation about it, because we don't really dig too much into it. Talk about how to detoxify masculinity, or actually what healthy masculinity looks like. To me, it looks like people like Dwayne Johnson, who are obviously very traditionally masculine, but we don't necessarily display those traits that we would define as toxic. But it's Mahaba-habang Usapan for a reason. We do need some time to really unpack it and really go back and forth. We're just gonna have a conversation, really free-flowing conversation about it with the other panelists. I've met them, and they're great. I feel like they all have something to say about it. Maybe something, more profound than I have to say. But what do we expect to achieve? Well, one of the things I really want to talk about tonight is that we're not gonna fix this in one conversation. It's going to be a continuing thing. You're not gonna talk to, say, your friends and tell them, hey, stop being toxic. Don't harass people, or don't objectify women. You're not gonna win that conversation in one go, right? But we do want to get the ball rolling.
Okay, but we're looking forward. I am personally looking forward to that conversation tonight sa Mahaba-habang Usapan. Thank you again, Gian, for joining us this morning here on New Day. At tuloy ang usapan mamaya along with our other panelists. Dr. Natalie Africa Verceles, Director of the UP Center for Women's and Gender Studies, and Meta Sarmiento. He's also a poet, rapper, and educator.